Hi, it's Mrs. Rushton who was just taking the mickey at me then. It's Mrs. Rushton with the next instalment of Phoenix. We're on chapter 21. I had a bit of a disaster today because I thought I'd not done chapter 19, but it turned out I'd just incorrectly labelled it chapter 18 and it was all fine.
On chapter 21.
That was my excitement for the day. Yes,
Yeah.
chapter 21. Should we crack on? We don't need to do what happened last time, do we?
Oh, can we do a quick recap? Because it was really funny.
Yeah, what do they call it on the previously on Phoenix?
Yeah, they went to the space wall, and then they had to get naked, and then Victor said some stuff about Lucky.
I heard you telling the other one about that.
Yeah, Victor said some stuff about Lucky. If you want to learn about that, watch the last video. Yeah, there were probes. They took out his contact lenses.
Oh yeah, the shadow guards.
And then they tried
had these spider probes that went all over your body, which was a bit grim. I didn't like that bit.
All over.
All over your body whilst you were naked, undies and everything. And
they took out
I kept thinking, shut your eyes, because you take your contact lenses out. And they took his contact lenses out. So when he came out, he was clearly a human, like a human, and not a Baxter human, because we have to be careful. We've gone on politically correct, and quite right too. Anyway, chapter 21. It was the scent that woke Lucky, the scent of chocolate brownies baking. What? The scent of chocolate brownies baking. He stretched out. He opened his eyes. They stung. Everything looked blurry. But he could see the outline of someone leaning over him, gently mopping his brow. Then his eyes shut again. He relaxed and smiled. That homemade smell was unmistakable. He must be back on Phoenix, in his mother's apartment. The whole thing must have been a dream. He breathed in the smell of home. He inhaled long, deep lungfuls and thought about all the things he was going to tell her, all the things they were going to do. "Hello, my boy," said a woman's voice above him. A woman's voice, but not his mother's. Lucky opened his eyes in shock. A woman in an apron was wiping his brow. And she was not his mother. She looked kindly, but stern, with steely blonde hair. She seemed familiar, and so did his surroundings. He was lying on a leather couch in a dark, wood-panelled room. There were blinds over the windows, a grand mahogany desk. In his mind flashed up an image he'd seen on countless vid screens, the face of the president addressing the galaxy from her office. This is it, he realised. The office of the president. And the woman standing over me. "You're President Thorntree," he said. "That's right," said the president. She smiled, showing a set of polished white teeth. "Welcome, Lucky. You've come a long way. How do you know my name?" "We know everything about you," she said. "At least, we know everything in your brain." Scan his brain. He sat bolt upright. It all came back to him, crystal clear and sharp as a needle. The brain scan, the shadow guards, the Sunfire crew. Trying to help. "Where are they?" he gasped. "What have you done with my friends?" "They're perfectly safe," said the president. Lucky didn't believe her. What kind of trouble had he got them into? He prayed they were still okay. "Now, try to relax," said the president. "I know you're scared of my government, my agents, and you have every reason after the tragic incident with your mother. But you must believe me, we mean you no harm." Her words burned into him. He could hardly answer. Then why did she? He couldn't bring himself to say the word die out loud, not when he'd believed for one wonderful moment that it had never happened. The president's face clouded with pain, and she reached down to wipe his brow again. "I'm so sorry you had to witness such a thing. That must have been appalling for you." She looked at him with deep concern in her eyes. "Your mother was a remarkable woman. The way she raised you, all on her own all those years. She did a wonderful job, but she never told you the truth. Not about who she was, or who you were, or about anything." "That's not true," bristled Lucky. "Really?" said the president very softly. "Did you know she was a shadow guard?" Lucky stared at her in shocked silence. It couldn't be true. "Where do you think she learned to fight so well?" said the president. "And how do you imagine she knew so much about aliens? She was brilliant, one of our top agents, a soldier through and through." Still Lucky refused to reply. Still he refused to believe it, but he couldn't deny that was exactly what his mother was like, though he learned only at the end. "I know you've wondered about her secrets," said the president. She leaned in and laid a hand on his shoulder. "I can shed some light on those secrets. You see, your mother worked undercover. She travelled in the alien world, learned their customs, knew their ways, but then something happened to her. She became a little confused, shall we say, a little paranoid. She left the government service and went into hiding. She had some information about the aliens that we needed, but she refused to give it to us. She believed we wanted to hurt her when we only wanted to talk, and that misjudgment caused her tragic death." "But she was right," he said at last, biting his lip. "They shot her, and then when they finally caught me, they ripped my brain scan." The president smiled. "You were so scared of that, weren't you? Well, see for yourself. Are you hurt?" Lucky glowered at her, but her smile stayed totally fixed. It looked like it was painted on her face. "They ripped my thoughts out of my eyes," he said. "I know it stings a little, but honestly, think about it. Are you actually hurt?" Lucky thought about it. He felt around his body. "No," he had to admit. "I guess not." "Well, there you are," said the president, still smiling. "All that fuss over such a small thing. You were only scared of us because your mother filled you with fear. But now I know that's not how you really are. You are remarkably courageous." "Yeah, right," he grunted. "Oh, but you are," said the president in a silky voice. "You are so brave, so resourceful. I am extremely impressed. From Phoenix all the way to the space wall, you've crossed half the galaxy. You've overcome so many obstacles. Your story is amazing. And I must say, so is your brain scan. You have some interesting powers." Lucky's eyes narrowed. "So you know. Is that why you were after me?" "Of course not," said the president. "We had no idea. But you're not the first person in history to have powers. Spontaneous combustion, bioluminescence, these are well-documented phenomena. Whatever powers you have, our scientists will explain them. And there's no reason why you can't use them for the good of humanity." She went over to her mahogany desk and switched on the desk lamp. Her eyes glinted in the soft light. Lucky turned away from her. He felt trapped. Whatever she said, he was a prisoner here, just as his father was a prisoner. And how was he ever going to find him now? "So what are you going to do, now you've got me?" The president chuckled. "Lucky, nothing bad is going to happen to you. We had you in here, helpless, all this time. And what did we do? We cleaned you up and made you comfortable. Oh, and I made you something to eat." From the desk, she passed him a plate piled high with brownies, chocolate fudge brownies, just like the ones his mother used to make. Go ahead, said the president. They're for you. Lucky hesitated a moment, but then the smell was too tempting to resist and he took one. It was still warm. The chocolate melted in his mouth. It was perfect, exactly like his mother's homemade brownies, exactly the same smell, the same sweetness, the same freshly baked sticky softness. This can't be real, he thought. Can it? He took another bite just to make sure, then a bigger bite, and the president smiled. You see, she said, all we want to do is help. Lucky sat back and munched. The brownie gave him a sense of comfort that deepened with every bite. He was still suspicious, but if anything bad was going to happen here, surely it would have happened by now. He finished the brownie, wiped his mouth, and took another bite, another from the plate. He was hungry, he realised. Okay, he said between melting mouthfuls. So what do you want from me? President Thorntree removed her apron. Underneath, it was a formal suit. Lucky, we know you've been searching for your father and that you want to find him more than anything. Well, that's exactly what we want too. We want to find your father. Major Dashwood, you know him. Is he okay? The president reached over to the window and drew the blinds fully shut so that the only light in the room came from her desk lamp. Then she went behind her desk and consulted some documents. Major Dashwood was commanding a government science ship when he was captured, she said. He was investigating rumours that aliens were developing a new secret weapon, something that we would very much like to have ourselves. He has vitally important knowledge that could help us win this war. She looked up. He matters to us, Lucky, just as he matters to you. So where is he? We understand that he's been held in the alien army's secret base, said the president. As you can imagine, we've searched and searched for it, but its location is the most closely guarded secret in the galaxy, and we just can't find it. We need a new strategy, and here's where you come in. She reached into her desk and pulled out his father's astrolabe. We don't like these devices, as you know, she said. We even made them illegal because they encourage the aliens in their star-worshipping superstitions. However, we'll make an exception in your case. I'll admit I was hoping to find your father with it, but I see from your brain scan that it hasn't worked. No, he said. I don't know why. I've tried and tried. Keep trying, said the president. She handed it back to him with a conspiratorial smile. But even if it never works, there is an alternative. A boy travelling with aliens with their trust, you can go places we never could. They can help you find the secret base, even without the astrolabe. I don't think so, said Lucky. The AXA I'm travelling with aren't the army. They don't know any more than I do. Perhaps not, but if you agree to my plan, I will give you a piece of information that will change everything. I will tell you the alien name for the planet where this base is located. It's not a name that means anything to humans, but it does to them, and with their help, I know you can find it. She paused and pushed the plate of brownies closer to him. There's something you must do first, though. This information is highly sensitive. If it was ever found out that I had told it to a child, well, I have to be sure that you will use it wisely, so I am making one small condition. What's that? He said, biting into another brownie. You must never tell anyone where you learnt it. You mustn't tell your alien friends that we met or any of the things that we've discussed. If they knew I had personally intervened in the matter, they would be suspicious. They certainly wouldn't want to help you find your father if they thought it could help us win the war. So you must tell them you discovered the information all by yourself. Tell them you overheard the shadow guards talking about it, or you saw it in a secret document. Tell them anything you like, but please trust me on this. You must not, on any account, tell them the truth. Lucky peered up at the president, trying to take it in. If I agree, you'll set me free. You'll set them free. Of course, said the president. And the phoenix. They took Professor Byzantine's phoenix. The president smiled and nodded down at him, as if indulging a small child. Well, if it means so much to you, listen, I'm sure he can have his bird back. He frowned at her patronising tone. Why were we treated so badly out there? The old lady, Mystica, she's ill, and they forced her off the ship. This is a time of war, said the president. Many people have suffered and died because of the aliens. It's unfortunate if innocents get caught up in it, but we cannot allow human lives to be endangered because we didn't do everything in our power to protect them, can we? I guess not. It's just, I've seen people treat the AXA like dirt, and this space war, it's horrible. It's so wrong. On the contrary, the wall is what keeps us safe. It's not a perfect system, we'll admit that, but we do our best. Never forget what we're up against. These are people who worship the stars rather than accepting that the stars are just burning balls of gas. Natural resources for all to use. I'll never understand why they cling to their superstitions or why they hate us as they do, but I know you understand we're only doing what we must. Why would a man like Major Dashwood or a woman like your mother work for us if we weren't completely in the right? The scent of chocolate fudge brownies was rich in the room, like velvet across Lucky's senses. He wanted to believe the president. He wanted the government to be good, as he'd grown up believing. And for the president to be on his side after all. She's got a point, he thought. The AXA wouldn't like it if they knew I was talking to her, but I don't want to keep secrets from them. I'm not sure, Professor Thorntree, he said. President Thorntree, he said. The president took a deep breath. Her eyes filled with concern. She got up from behind her desk and came to stand beside him, leaning over to speak quietly in his ear. Perhaps you don't appreciate the severity of your situation. Unless you do something extraordinary, regulations would require you to be held indefinitely. You won't see your friends again because you'll each be held in solitary confinement. And as for that bird, well, unless someone intervenes on his behalf, I fear it will be destroyed under quarantine regulations. Lucky's stomach turned over as she spoke, but then the president smiled her painted smile. None of this needs to happen, she said, her tone all silky smooth again. Just promise me you'll keep this conversation a secret. Why is that so difficult? Do you want to find your father? Don't you want to work undercover like your mother? You would be fulfilling her legacy. You know she would be so proud of you. Confusion and suspicion simmered inside him. The more he thought about it, the less he liked the idea of lying to his friends. But he had no doubt that the president meant every word. If he didn't do what she wanted, he'd never see his friends again. Never fly through the stars on the Sunfire with them. Never, ever again. Let alone have a hope of finding his father. And those thoughts were just too much to bear. All right, he said. He picked up the last brownie from the plate and wiped it clean. I'll do it. I'll swear to you. I won't tell anyone. The president beamed. That's my boy, she said, ruffling his hair. I knew I could trust you. So, the alien army's secret base is on a planet they call Charon. We believe it's somewhere in the region of Aquarius, but they're the only ones who know for sure. She took a deep breath. I wish I could come with you and protect you. However, the slightest suspicion would ruin your chances. So you are on your own from here on in. But whatever happens after you leave this office, don't ever give up. You are the only person in the galaxy who can find your father. I'm counting on you, and so is he. Who did she remind you of? Dolores Umbridge. That's who I thought she was like. I did not like her. Not at all. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. He's good, isn't he, Mr. Saeed?
Mm.
I might even have to read Varjak Paul. It's about a cat.
The Outlaw Varjak Paul.
It just says Varjak Paul.
And yeah, and then the second one is the Outlaw Varjak Paul.
Oh no. Well, I'll have to
I've
read
already
it.
done that before.
Right. Good night.
Night.